welcome everyone to our legacy author interview with a compassionate leader in human resources work and a parent of two very lucky adolescent children, author of Raising the Next Generation of Our Leaders, Our Own Children, Jyoti Marwaha. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Walter, for having me.
You are such a positive presence in the world. I'm honored to have this time with you to discuss this vision for our children.
Very
So,
excited.
yeah, you start the article with the Carl Jung quote. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. I love that. That is so you. That is so my total experience of you. Because as a result of that chemical transformation, both people are transformed. So tell me where you found the quote, because I've known Jung since college, but I've never heard that quote before. That's amazing.
I was writing the article and I felt like there has to be something that connects to individuals and to their core. And I searched up a whole bunch of things and I was like, this is the one that resonates the most. This is the one that clicks. Um, Everyone brings their own personality to the table and their own lived experiences, right? So I felt that was the most relevant to what I was hoping to achieve.
It speaks well. And in everyday life, and I know um, we're going through the motions and we're getting things done and we have demands at home and at work and with friends and family. And we lose sight of that. We lose sight of that. Every interaction is a potential, I know this is over dramatic, but combustion of something where you get new energy or new doors open. And when we lose sight of that, we lose sight of the opportunities and the potential we all have. So just a great start to the article.
Love that. I love what you just said. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So you talk about unlearning what you were taught as a child, how you've learned to keep your head, and we can all identify with this. Keep your head down, just do your work at school, do exactly what you're told. Maybe that's changed generationally, but in our time as children, that was very
Right.
much what we were told. And you said you didn't share your perspective out of fear of being retaliated against. And you created this false sense of believing that your perspective really didn't matter. Can you talk more about that when you think back to childhood? And I'm asking because it's true for all of us. We all come from that place where we have to learn to find our voice and understand our value. But share a little about yourself personally so your readers can get to know you.
Absolutely. I grew up in the 80s
Yeah,
and 90s,
yeah,
pre-internet.
yes,
And, you know, I was the kid on the block running around outside playing, and that was my life. Just play, go to school, have some dinner, and it was just a repeat every day.
yeah,
But growing up with immigrant parents who were trying to figure out life in America,
yes,
um, and didn't have as much time, not intentionally, but did not have enough time to devote to my brother and I to sit there and say, this is how you communicate. They were learning that themselves, right? In
right,
their own individual workspaces.
yeah,
Um, and, this is how you speak up. And this, your source of truth is yourself. This is your North Star. So having that lack of guidance, again, not intentionally, really suppressed my confidence in speaking up.
yeah,
When I became a parent, and before that, an HR professional,
yes,
I quickly came to realize that if you don't speak up, you don't get an opportunity. Silence can only take you so far. And so, what we try to do at home, and I spend a lot of time with my kids communicating about every topic, whether it's topics I probably don't agree with as a mother,
right, right,
but I need to understand their perspective. And so we get to the core of what they want to talk about. And that's really helped build their confidence up. And I try to do that. That's the reason I do this work,
yes.
because I've lived those experiences. And when I joined the workforce, I learned very quickly that without a voice, I'm not going to get very far in my career.
It's so true. And it's so timely because speaking for educators, and I shouldn't, but just my observations this morning, um, in this time of tumultuousness, So many of us are acquiescing and just keeping our head down and trying to wait out whatever's happening. And it really doesn't serve you well. When you acquiesce to people, they assume what they want to assume. They'll attribute to you whatever their agenda is. And you look back later saying, well, what happened? How did I miss the gravy train? Why did the bandwagon roll out of town without me? And it's because we aren't more intentionally and assertively putting ourselves out there and saying, I have something to say. I have something to offer. And this is why I think your article is just so powerful.
Thank you, Walter. I appreciate that. I did not post on LinkedIn until 2018. That was my first post,
Really?
2018, and it took so much courage to bring my voice out there.
Yeah.
And that's literally where I found my voice, is by writing.
Yeah.
And when I started to write, more and more connections that I had no idea about
Yeah.
came to me, sent me private DMs saying, "We love your posts." Even now,
Yeah.
it's been 8 weeks, and folks are coming to me saying, "Are you okay? What's
Right.
going on? We miss your energy."
Yeah.
So I do think speaking up has value.
When you talk about unlearning, I was just talking with Melissa Schittinger, who's a uh, works with senior level corporate people out of Switzerland yesterday morning. And she was talking about this, this idea of unlearning, because you need to be able to um, present yourself in ways that are relevant today and allow you to be who you are today, not who you were as a 12-year-old or a 18-year-old, but this wonderful adult you've grown into. Um, when you talk about unlearning, at least let's just say as a mom, definitely, because that's where this conversation is going. But even as an HR professional, what does that mean to Walter McKenzie sitting here with all my habits and ingrained, hardwired assumptions about myself? Well, what does that mean to unlearn? How do you even approach that process in your mind?
I'm going to speak both as a professional and at a personal level.
Okay.
Um, one of, as you stated earlier, the quote about bringing two personalities together and the dynamite effect that it has.
Yes.
Oftentimes we lack self-awareness because we get so ingrained in our daily habits and the way that we formed ourselves, right? That
Yeah.
our way is the best way.
Yes.
Um, when you learn to pause and reflect and listen actively to what the other individual is saying,
Yes.
it really does bring a sense of humbleness about you. And it says, now I got to step back and think about, what does that mean? Are my habits negatively affecting this individual? Or is there something that I need to do to ensure that I'm being more nimble and adaptable? And I learned this throughout my career, but I would say over the last decade the most. And I'm going to tell you why. I have started to learn from the younger generation, folks who are probably 2 decades younger than me,
Yes.
and understanding how their best practices, what their lived experiences were.
Yes.
It really helps me understand, maybe I'm not doing things the right way. Maybe they have better ways to adapt. My 13-year-old son has taught me so much about life through his eyes.
Yes.
He will take a situation, step back from it, check his personal feelings at the door, and then dissect that situation.
Wow.
And as a mother, and the vulnerable way, saying that's hard to do
It
because you have
is.
both your kids in front of you and you love them both equally.
Yes.
But for him to do that, I
Yes.
have to then say, hey, you know what? Got to take the bias out of it. These are your kids. Okay,
Right.
that's great. But at the end of the day, I got to learn from them. How is that objective mindset coming out? And I truly admire that about his personality.
That is incredible at 13 years old. And you need to take some credit for that as a parent, that you've helped him find that in himself. A lot of us as grown, mature adults can have a challenge with leaving that at the door and being able to be objective. And I think that's key to what you're saying, is that it's not just asking and listening, it's actively receiving what that other person is telling you. You really have to be able to take it in and understand. Um, life is so busy now that so many experiences we have with other people is road question, road answer, yeah, 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 move on, next meeting, busy, busy, busy.
Very
Make
transactional.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And so it becomes 9 o'clock at night, you're laying down and resting, and all of a sudden you're remembering a conversation from 10:30 that morning. Oh, I should have said, oh, I didn't realize. Oh, I'll have to follow up later because now it's all sinking in. And so that being in the moment intentionality you're talking about is, if you don't have it, that's got to be a prerequisite to making this work. You can't just ask and then not truly listen and receive what people tell you.
Yeah, and Walter, I do a lot of reading, as you know,
Yep.
and I've been reading more about the benefits of the power of the pause. And
Ah,
I'm in almost my mid 40s, and it's taken me a long time because that life of
yeah.
hustle.
Yes.
I started working full time when I was 16 years old. I have yet to stop.
Yep.
And it's just every day, rinse and repeat. But when you intentionally pause, that silence gives you a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
So,
It does. And it's that silence is an invitation for the other person to truly be themselves. They're not trying to verbally joust with you to get the next word in edgewise. There's a pause and an invitation to respond thoughtfully. It's truly so the first two takeaways here are the intentionality and being aware of the transactionality of so much of life today, and not simply going with that because it's there and so prevalent. Um, you make a statement that I think, one of many profound statements in the article, but one that hit me, as someone who, yeah, I'm retired, but have all those years to reflect on. Time and time again, what I have not seen is genuine confidence in building human connections, real connections, even at the most senior professional level. Oh my God, isn't that the truth? Isn't that like, I mean, there have been times, and Lord help me, and whoever is listening to this who thinks I'm talking about you, I'm not talking about you. This is a general statement. How did you get to this position without any more self-awareness and any more self-confidence in human interaction and relationships? But it's very prevalent, and I'm as guilty as anybody. I could grow more. I could, at this stage of the game, still improve in that department. It was such a bam, hit me over the head moment when I read that. Can you talk a little about that? What that's all about? Real connections, and even having the confidence to pursue them and cultivate them.
well, I think it goes back to our initial conversation. Our ingrained habits, it it creates roadblocks and bottlenecks for us to think outside of our our norm. I'll put
Yeah,
that there. More and more I see in the workforce that our relationships are to a point of you do this for me and I'll do this for you and that's it. And I'm going to build that relationship to that degree and nothing beyond that. And I truly believe of bringing my whole self to work. And I say that to my team every day. Tell me what's going on in your life. If I can support you, I will, but I will not know until you talk. And I'm going to do the same as your leader. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to tell you what's going on in my life because everything, everything matters. And until you engage, until you actively put your hand forward and say, hey, guess what? I'm also human,
yeah,
you're not going to build that connection. And I see that more at the most senior level because ultimately everybody is there to work. And
mhm,
we do care about our pay. We're
yeah,
humans.
yeah,
Compensation is one of the most important things for us.
yep,
That is our livelihood.
yeah,
But I think genuine connections, when you go to work, when you go to the park, when you are in your community, how much do you really know about the other folks who are surrounding you? And that the impact they make on you, because ultimately you are spending a lot of time with these folks. And I tell my kids that all the time. When you are at school, you are likely spending more time at school during the week than you are at home. So who are you surrounding yourself with? What is the impact these individuals have on your daily mindset?
yeah.
And so I do feel that that is lacking, and that transactional mindset of let's just do this and get it over with.
Right.
But what are we doing to go the extra mile?
And I have to say, to our audience, Jody and I worked together a number of years back. I don't even want to guess, but a while back, we were both at ASCD. And I have to say, just this is to accentuate a point you're making. When Jyoti arrived at ASCD and I walked into HR, the whole energy in that office had changed. When I walked in, I knew immediately that she cared. When I walked out, you would walk in for something you needed to talk to or a form or whatever I walked in for. And I would walk out knowing I was going to have a better day because this person made a difference in my experience walking in that moment. And so even your presence, when you have this mindset and you truly live this and you truly receive other people and you value who they are, it speaks before you ever open your mouth. And so this is not someone who just wrote an article and we thought, what a great article. Let's just, publish this article. No, this is someone who's living this. And to this day, Jody and I continue to have these conversations and not to throw shade on anybody else from HR because they were all wonderful people, but this is the one person that I still talk to years later because of the value she brings to everything she does. And so I just want people to know you're the real deal.
I appreciate that, Walter. That means more
Absolutely.
than you know.
Oh, you know what? And it's sad to say, but it's just so rare. It's just we need more of this in the world today.
Thank you.
You make the next comment that in the age of AI, I mean, you couldn't have made this article more timely. In the age of AI, there's one thing for sure I know that will always win, and that's making space to prioritize real human connection. You know what? I've been reading all kinds of industry expertise, and I'm not an HR guy, but a lot of it has been HR related in
Right.
the last 6 months about this. And what everyone is saying, whether they're prognosticating into the future or talking about what's happening on the ground right now, is AI is never going to be able to replace that human connection.
Very
And so
true.
to put that in real terms in the article is like, here's someone who's really speaking to us. This isn't just industry research. This isn't just talking heads saying, this is what we're seeing and predicting. Um, this is what we all need to value in ourselves because AI is not going away. And so if we don't value that human connection, if we don't cultivate it the way you speak about it in the article, we're going to lose that opportunity to set ourselves apart from anyone else, including our AI partners, whoever they are in our work.
I 100% agree to that. I think that the more and more I talk to the younger generation who are coming into the workforce, my
Yes,
own kids included, their friends included.
yes,
Hey, mom, did you do ChatGPT? Do you know about Copilot? Do you know that you can get the answer really quickly? And it is as simple as, how do you have a difficult conversation? And I think I referenced this, my son will come to me and say, I had a tough day. One of my friends, their personalities are changing. They're in their teenage years, and the
right,
friend that I thought was really good is now kind of different.
right.
Um, and we'll Google things instantly and see what ChatGPT will say. And I'll have to step back, and say, listen, what does your heart tell you? Think about that. Listen to your gut. Think about the situation at hand. How would you manage that? Do not depend on artificial intelligence to teach you communication skills, because the lack of communication skills has a deeper impact than you'll ever know. And AI cannot teach you that, Walter. Human connection is so important on so many levels. It teaches you how to be confident in yourself. It teaches you to be an interesting individual. It teaches you to have multiple varied experiences in life. That one soft skill will help you on so many levels. And AI, unfortunately, is trying to take that over from us,
Right.
and it's not going to work.
It can't. It can't. Not in the human experience. It can't.
The comfort of knowing that you can have a one-to-one conversation with somebody. You and I are having a very authentic conversation right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about what life has taught us and how
Yes.
we can give back to the community.
Yes.
AI doesn't have that.
Never. Never. And I think what's truly impactful about all of this is that the connection between everything we've discussed and everything you share in your article and your experience with your two kids has led you to this larger vision for children everywhere, especially in adolescence, kind of like middle school. Um, and
Yes.
so you and I have been having this discussion about how do we help impart to middle schoolers this whole message about creating meaningful dialogue, having a North Star, human connections, and how you present yourself and how it will help you as you enter the adult world in personal relationships and professional. Talk a little about that and how your thinking has been evolving about working with middle schoolers to help them understand what's at stake and how they present themselves and how they interact with others.
Absolutely. I mean, I've coached lots of kids that I know right now.
Yeah,
Both my son's friends in the neighborhood,
yeah,
around the community,
yeah,
and really just talk to them about what's working for them. I start the conversation with each of them by telling me, asking them to tell me a little bit about what's working in their life right now. Because I want to start with the positive, right? Like, tell me what's doing really good for you, and then we'll go a little deeper into how can I help coach you, build connections among you, help you build your self-awareness journey. And it is very interesting to see the environment that they're being raised in. You can really quickly adapt and understand that some of these kids may not have that environment. And they're very similar to me, right? When I was growing up,
right.
communication was you can't talk. Talking is bad. Never
Yes,
talk, just listen. And I try to encourage them to use their voice, both at home and at school, at activities, build that teamwork, build that connection, be able to network. Network will help you get through tough situations in life.
yes,
And the more and more I'm learning about those teenage years, and I say teenage years in a lighter sense, Walter, as you know, I try to work with middle school kids
right.
because I find that middle school is that age where you've just closed your elementary school education. You're about to enter the last chapter of your secondary education. So you're in that
Right.
middle phase. And I always think that they're the forgotten kids a lot
Yes,
because when you enter high school, you're so focused on college credits in high
yes,
school.
yes,
And when you're in elementary school, you're very, thought of as still that childish child.
yeah,
But that teenage period between seventh and eighth grade is so critical to your development. The emotions are all time high. And I don't find a lot of folks investing in that age group. And so I've always said that is my focus. And I started this when my son was in seventh grade last year, or
yeah,
I guess a year and a half ago now. Now he's in ninth grade. And I said, something is missing here. And as a mom and as an HR professional, how can I support them? So my conversations have been very casual with these kids because I want to build the trust with them. I've done a
yeah,
great job so far. And I'm hoping to do that more for the community. But that's really the focus is spending time with them, investing in their future, because ultimately what they pick up in this age is what they're going to take to the workforce. And that's that connection piece that I was missing when I see at work, through my years,
yes,
is that individuals quickly shut down others, and not giving them that space or the grace to stop and learn from younger folks,
yes,
learn from different, like we've been talking about. So I'm
yes.
really trying to build those habits early on, which is why that article is titled that way.
It's a wonderful title. It really stands out with the title. So if I can get you to talk a little more, you've been working on developing some modules, some experiences to work with middle schoolers, working with teachers and going into classes and saying, "Hi, I'm from outside your world, and I want to talk to you about you and how you can be the best you." Talk a little about that and what your thinking is on what you'd like to do with next steps in developing this learning for middle schoolers.
Yeah, I mean, I created a module called the Power of What Ifs, and I'm slowly going to schools
Yeah,
to see if I can, speak to them
yeah,
through after school activities. They have different clubs
yeah,
that are part of the school systems.
yeah,
And, it's just me going out there and saying, hey, listen, I think there is an opportunity for you to build your self awareness.
yes,
And the power of what ifs will help you do that. But when I start these modules, I always start with the connection piece because I think it's very important for these folks to understand the journey that I came with, and why I am doing this. Why am I spending time,
yeah,
my personal time after hours with these children?
right,
Um, and when you do that, the kids actually listen, because there's that emotional string that they've picked up on.
yeah,
The fact that I get to do this in Northern Virginia,
yeah,
where there is such a diverse group of kids coming from different backgrounds,
right,
I'm telling you, Walter, about 80% of them say to me, "Oh, I know what you're talking about."
yeah,
And this is year 2025, and I'm an 80s kid.
right, right.
The experiences don't change, Walter. That's what
No,
I've picked up on. Um, and so I feel honored
yeah,
to be able to give back to the community that way,
yes.
through the service that I can provide.
It's a wonderful thing, and I look forward to continue to collaborate with you on that. Those
I,
of you in the audience, if you'd like to reach out to Jyoti and talk to her more about the module and about her ability to work with your students, please do. Her contact information is in the article. You can also reach out to me and I can connect you with Jyoti. Kind of as a parting thought, what would you say to other parents? You have such insight as a professional and
mm.
as a parent. What would you say to other parents with all the challenges they're facing today, raising young ones even before they get to middle school, as they're in those formative years to help them with all of this?
I would say that take the time to learn about your children.
Mhm.
Their personalities are developing. I have a fifth grader and now a high schooler. And both of them have very different personalities, extreme opposites.
Yeah.
Not because one's a boy, one's a girl, but
No, no.
generally they both are raised in the same environment,
Yeah.
but have different thoughts and their perspectives are completely different.
Yeah.
So learning about each child that you have at home
Yes.
really does matter.
Does.
Adapting to their style. I have a team that I run. My team has different personalities. I tell them all the time, I have to manage to your personality. So I tell these parents who are listening, do the same at home. Get to know them. They are a person. They're not just a child, they're a whole person.
Right. With all the potential in the world. I mean,
With
the things.
all, you don't know what you're raising. You could be
Exactly.
raising a great governor one day, or a
Exactly.
doctor, or, a firefighter.
Yeah. It's so true. All that potential and hope and the aspirations we have for them. And we play such a role in that as parents. So powerful stuff.
I appreciate it, Walter. I'm so grateful for your partnership.
Absolutely. And so grateful that our paths ever crossed, Jody, and now to continue the work. Looking forward to getting this interview out. We'll attach it right to the front page of your article. So when people read the article, they can click right on the front page to then get to know you through the interview and get the word out about your interest in working with middle schoolers and continuing everything you've got going is such an honor.
I do, and I think I appreciate that, Walter. This is my life's passion. I've said that from the very beginning when I
Yes.
opened Moonshot HR Consulting.
Yes.
My passion is to work with kids. This is the next generation. My kids will be out of college in 10 years, and I think I want to be able to build that next generation that is going to give something back to the community.
So well said. And isn't that why we all get into the work we're doing?
Yep, yep. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you.